All right. Welcome everybody to the last episode of The Art of Improvisation. Today is a very special day and a little bit mixed emotions because it is the end of this wonderful series where we've been learning so much. But also I'm very excited because we have a very special guest today, and it is none other than my dear friend and spectacular musician, Jose Arturo Soto. We've known each other for a long time now. We studied in the same university. We were both students of Dr. Luis Monge, and he's also working on a big number of projects that are very, very interesting, everything around music and education. He is more into the jazz and improvisation scene, so I thought he would be a very good guest and very good mind to put together here in this group. So Jose, yeah, please introduce yourself and tell us what you've been up to, what you've been doing.
So my name is Jose Soto, as Lanzo mentioned. I'm a jazz pianist, and also I have been spending a lot of time teaching, privately teaching in different schools. I live here in Boston. I studied at Berklee School of Music. I did my master's and at the Berklee Jazz Institute, and also I did my undergrad at New England Conservatory. And of course, I started with this amazing mentor, Luis Monge, when I was in Costa Rica studying with Lanzo. And yeah, I have been playing professionally and teaching for a long time, and I have similar projects like what Lanzo is doing with this amazing festival. And by the way, thank you for the invitation. I feel super honored to be here, and looking forward to share some of perspectives on what we are going to talking about.
Wonderful, wonderful. Because you've been following a little bit of what we've been doing, and what we want to do today is basically bring all of the concepts that we've been exploring for the last 5 weeks or so. Let's bring them together, and we're going to do this with Luis sharing a melody that we all know is very, very dear to our hearts. It's very special, and then we're going to comment on it. So before we get started, I'm going to ask everyone to please mute their mics and shut off their webcams, so we can share music and our commentary. And without further ado, let's take it away, Luis.
Nice.
Beautiful. So the idea here is to understand a little bit of what's going on from the various angles that we've been approaching improvisation, because we started talking about melody, we talked about harmony, we talked about scales and arpeggios, different patterns and structures that we can use to improvise, to basically be spontaneous about our ideas and then share them right away about our emotions. And what Luis is doing here is sharing a melody that we all know very, very well, Beethoven. And so let's start, Jose. I want to start with you, because I know you do have a little more than a little. You have quite an experience with the formal classical training, but also you have now this huge background and understanding of jazz and improvisation. So what calls your attention first when you hear something like this?
When I hear something, it's what is amazing for me about this specific piece is Beethoven found out a way to really use the piano in order to sing a melody, right? It's not just that, you know, it's like a beautiful melody that you can play on the piano. It's like the melody by itself is singable, right? So when you play this kind of melody, I'm thinking about a couple things. First, the melody is beautiful, but also it's suggesting a lot of nice voice leading, which is amazing. In like when you play this melody, you have kind of very important main notes that kind of suggest a specific gives a sensation of a chorale between the top note and the bottom note, and also what the in between notes, in between lines that are happening, right, between the what the accompanying of the. So that's pretty special for me because what the way Luis Monge was treating it was basically doing this kind of counterpoint underneath, inside the bass note and the top note, because it specifically has a lot of room between those notes in order to create something. And that's for me what is impressive when I really listen to this. It's like it's amazing how he's treating like these three dimensions of the top note, bottom note, and creating this kind of a rhythmic harmonic movement inside those.
Right, is the texture. He creates some inner texture that is still very, very simple, diatonic. There's nothing too far-fetched or too crazy going on, but it's yet so simple. And I think this is part of what Beethoven's intention was, like simplicity at this point, right? So I think Luis is very, very close to this.
Yeah, definitely. That's perfection, you know, in many ways. It's like using something simple is such smart way to develop. It's like brilliant. Yeah. That's why he was Beethoven, right?
Yeah. So what we want to do now is, or what Luis is going to show now is a little bit more of an expansion of the ideas. What can be done with this? What can we actually do? What are the possibilities? Now, obviously, if we share all of the possibilities, we would be here for a very long time. We're only going to share a couple more of these examples. So, Luis, let's hear what else you got. Jose, I think I accidentally muted you.
Okay.
Sorry. Sometimes when Luis is playing, I might ask you to mute, because otherwise it would get a little bit of interference. But anyway, so I know you were eager to say something. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I was wondering if you have something to say, and then I can jump on.
Well, right away, I thought of the title of this topic is Color and Spice right away. So I love how Luis sort of painted this melody in a very different way. He the melody itself at the beginning was sort of hidden, and then he brought it out. But what caught my attention was the use of more of dissonance in this case, and because of the way that we're used to listening to this, and this is the perspective of someone that's, you know, classically trained and has less experience in the jazz world, where I'm very interested in what you have to say. But we are so used to listening to this melody in a particular way, that when I hear this, it's so refreshing, so interesting, and the use of the harmony is unexpected for me, for my ears. So what I find most interesting is also the choice of color, the choice of notes that Luis is using here for the accompaniment, and then how he adapts the melody to these colors.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree with that. Probably I would call it instead like dissonance. I would call it like more colors, which is like something that for me, it's like, it sounds super impressionistic in a way,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it goes back to the, the basic aspects of music, which is like what I mentioned before, and in the first example Luis did, is also voice leading, and also that specific space that Beethoven put between the top note and the bottom note, that is making Luis having this liberty to kind of, suggest these different colors, right? Because at the end, what Beethoven suggested is impressive, which is like a space where you play the harmony like, and then, right? But then this kind of chord, instead, like if I want to, like kind of change the color, like instead going like to the same direction that Beethoven is going to, I can change the directions and kind of suggest something different like this. And then it sounds like, okay. And then what is gonna, and this start to go like in different ways. And what is great also is like, of course, a lot of back, it's common here when you are going, like you think about like harmony in terms of horizontality and not like stacks of chords, right? And vertical chords. So I think that's why I think, of course, Luis have a lot of experience doing this, but that's what is lovely about this piece, that gives you so much liberty in terms of voice leading, that you can do whatever, you it's suggesting a lot of different colors underneath.
Mm. Yeah. So awesome. Let's do one more, Luis. So this time, don't hold back, and see what craziness you can take us in. All right.
That was pretty cool.
Okay.
Okay.
That was totally unexpected too. I love it, and I love how spontaneous this is, because by the way, we have not prepared any of this. We literally just said, like, Luis is gonna play something and we're gonna comment on it. So we don't know what he's gonna come up with. So Jose, do you have any comments?
Yeah, it's, of course, you can hear a lot here the blues, right? It's everywhere in that version that Luis did. And I was wondering, Luis, how do you start to hear this? Because probably for me, it's when I was trying to play around with this song, I was listening to different stuff, and in my head I had a completely different perspective of the song, and the first thing that came to me was like kind of all these Latin influences, right? And instead like the blues, and that's super, like, it's a completely new door for me right now, because I never think about that when I listen to this. So I was wondering how you came up with this instead, like,
Well, it has to do with the form, or different forms, different structures that you already have in mind. It's like with language. If you have if you master or control in your speech certain sentences, certain ways how you express things, then you just put them on the piano. Let them speak out on the piano. Since I know the blues and I know different repertoires related to this blues world, it's not very simple. You have to really, of course, always concentrate. Even if you master or controls expressions and grammar in a language, you have to still have your mind very committed to your hands and to your emotions and to technique as well. But in this case, blues has become a natural way of expressing things. And the more you get acquainted and get into the blues world, then, and with different performers, not only piano players, but performers as such, and with different repertoires and different periods and styles, then it's not that complicated. The complicated part is to the thread that you keep connected with your expressions, your words, your sentences, and keep the form. That's another important part. You have to know the form, the original, because this is not free improvisation. This is improvisation departing from a sketch that you know. And I have chosen this sketch, this famous melody, because everybody knows, or millions of people know this melody, famous Beethoven melody.
Yeah, you know what I find fascinating about this, and it's something that you, Luis, opened the door for me when I was studying with you, was the way that I'd never seen this before, the way that you can adapt styles, right? Or the way that you can adapt certain melodies or certain chord progressions or just certain ideas to different styles, right? Because this is not something that like us classical musicians are very much used to or even exposed to. And I remember the first time I even discovered this, I remember this day very, very well, is extracting chords from Gershwin prelude and then putting them in all different kinds of styles. And that was the first time I remember it vividly. Just my mind just felt like physically expanding, like, wow, like this is something that can be done. So now you blow our minds with something like this too. It's like, well, yeah, Beethoven, we can turn Beethoven into anything. And this gives me a whole other level of appreciation for the genius of Beethoven and for the versatility of this melody, and then for music itself. Like, music is truly a universal language in this case, because it's adaptable to anything.
No, now that you suggested that, Luis, it's like now I'm hearing in my head, I'm hearing these triplets underneath, the melody, like kind of. So now it's pretty cool that you are suggesting this, because when I was trading it, I didn't hear it. Now I'm kind of starting to imagine things, and that's what is great. Thank you for that. It's awesome. Also, I would say, like, same thing. It's like voice leading. I think that what you have been managed in order to do, like with the blues and what you did before, that kind of impressionistic thing. I think I think it's Beethoven's idea to bring that in order to you play around with it, and that's the way we should learn, right?
Well, let's try one more.
Let's do it.
All right, let's hear one more. Encore.
Pretty nice. Wow. Here in this one, I'm listening to a choro, kind of Brazilian vibe, right? So it's like,
Brazilian belongs to certain Brazilian styles connected with choros. Mm-hmm.
That's what originally I listened to when I tried to play around, and it's pretty cool because, you know, that's kind of remind me, you know, I think like Bach came with chorales, and that's for me what is kind of Beethoven doing here at chorale with some broken chords inside the bottom and the top line. But also, like, you know, Bach came with all these inventions and things, like with a lot of material like tetrachords, like, you know, approaches. And then bebop has that a lot, and then choro has that a lot. So it's like, that's what, you know, when I was playing around, like thinking about how to make it more jazzy, I was playing around like with the bebop, with the choro, and with this kind of playing around with the voice leading. So it's like, what I love about this version is like definitely like the left hand, because, you know, for me, like as a pianist, some of the things that we have to really feel strong about is our left hand, and kind of in order to also feel free in order to improvise over that, but also the voice leading, because sometimes when we playing in a harmonic instrument, we think like in stack of chords instead like thinking horizontally about the chords, which is like, you know, what Beethoven is doing right now in this amazing melody. So it's like what I'm super happy about this, because it's like I think that Luis had the ability to put everything together in terms of depicting all the things that we have, the weaknesses as piano players that we have to develop and keep working on for the rest of our lives, you know, because at the end that's a lifestyle, right? So it's like that's great that you were doing that, and it's you know, it's inspiring in many ways, and also, you know, it's very funny that I was doing the same. So it's like I really love that. For me, I would suggest, like as an exercise, that, you know, what I love about this song is this, like the top note is doing this, right? Then, so basically, then you go to, and then, right? So you are kind of making smaller the whole melody, right? And making a target point.
Let me add something to that, what you were saying, Jose. That's what we, in theory, we call contour, melodic contour. And for improvisers, it's a great source of making your speech coherent. When you have in mind the melodic contour, when you have the more specific points of rest, what we call reference notes, or goal notes, or target notes, or goal notes. If you keep that in mind, then it's like a drawing when you only have certain dots and you have to connect them together. And that's very important, but it's not only important for the improviser. Actually, for a good performer of great works, such as this sonata, and whatever other works in the traditional way we perform, the so-called classical music, it's very important that you keep also this perspective of melodic contour and the long phrase. And speaking of left hand, what you said is also very important. This is not your personal opinion. I mean, this is what people like the giant of Oscar Peterson or Sviatoslav Richter and many others have commented on, or have spoken about. The stronger your left hand is, the more confident your performance will be, technically speaking, and also from the energy that you have to endure throughout a piano work, specifically or especially when we're talking about very virtuoso style works, and but not only, actually, as a whole. I mean, as observing the whole situation, or getting closer to the piano performance act. The stronger the left hand, the better you will be off with your performance.
Definitely, and also I would add something else like that is for me very important. Also, sometimes when we approach improvisation, I think the most healthy way to do it is from, like pieces with this like are very cantable, in many ways. You have to sing them and start to sing ideas of what the target notes are given to you, right? Because sometimes it's like if you just start to put scales or things like you are practicing on the piano, sometimes that doesn't make a lot of sense. But if you start from like singing with melody like this, like you start like so it's like that melody is triggering that. It's not my piano ability, right? It's like first the melody that I'm hearing and my ear training, and then of course I can develop that through all the specific techniques that I'm learning, skills, arpeggios, everything. But starting from there, I think that's super important in a melody like this. It's like a ballad or like a bolero or like all these kind of slow songs that are like just singable. It's like you have to sing it in order to feel it first, right?
Well, I hope all the musicians and all the friends that have joined us today won't think that we are destroying Beethoven. We are, with very much love and with honesty, trying to recreate and put it in different, with different spices and colors. Such a great melody. And we can do that, and I strongly recommend to explore your own inner feelings, your deepest feelings and thoughts, and don't be afraid to just say something that comes from this world that belongs only to each person, each human being. And this will enhance and this will broaden your perspective when you learn music. Once you have a creative mind or a more creative mind, this will, of course, enrich and broaden all your perspectives and your possibilities when you perform.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think that we're getting inspired by them.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Beethoven inspired us, inspired you to come up with that, and you just live in a different time with different sounds, with different possibilities. We have evolved this far, and why not use the genius of people from the past and just express ourselves in the way. And plus, just the fact that Luis is able to do something like this with Beethoven, when he actually plays Beethoven as written, his understanding goes far deeper, because he is not just about playing the notes, moving your fingers and putting them on the keys. It's the harmonic structures, the form, the emotional content of it, the melodic contour. All of this is such a deep understanding that you cannot play the same after playing around like this, after improvising.
And we are not the first. There is a C major prelude, bad prelude, one of the little ones, that Sting took it for composing a completely amazing pop song. I don't remember the name. I'm gonna check it out right now in order to tell you the name. Because
share it, please.
Yes, right now. I'm gonna look at it, because it's like wonderful, and it's literally the same way. He's not using the harmony. He's playing the whole prelude underneath the whole song. It's unbelievable. So it's like that's brilliant. It's like why we are like inspiration is not about like bringing new ideas all the time. It's like taking them and developing in our own way. Because at the end, that's what we need to express. right? Improvisation is the best, one of the best tools in order to do that. And let me just find it very quickly. And
Yeah, I like to, while you're looking for it, I like to think that as transformation.
I didn't have. It's called this thing song. Whenever I Say Your Name, featuring Mary J. Blige. It's Whenever I Say Your Name. In the minute 107, it's the whole prelude is there, and it's beautiful. It's amazing.
All right. So
I'm very. I think I'm very encouraged by you both too. I feel very happy to have friends joining us, and we expect a very successful virtual Costa Rica Piano Festival very soon, right, Lanzo?
yes. So next week we're starting the festival, and this is the perfect opportunity for those of you who maybe have not joined us before. You can actually do this in depth with Luis. You can so from the very beginning, by the way, the Costa Rica Piano Festival has had the improvisation workshop from the very beginning, because we understand the importance of developing this creativity, this expression or way of expression for all musicians. And if we think about it historically, all musicians have been well-versed in improvisation, and I think we should continue to do that, continue to explore new ways of making music, transforming music, getting inspired by music. And I couldn't think of anyone better for this than you, Luis. That's why we're extremely grateful, and this opportunity to learn from you and to be able to jump into this unknown for us classical musicians and explore this wonderful world of improvisation. I think it's invaluable. I think it's going to bring only good things to your artistic career. So that's why I want to encourage everyone to join us, and of course follow us. And you can find us almost in all social platforms, and we'll be sharing lots of content like this. We welcome everybody, all musicians, and well, I think at this point, what we're gonna do is just take a couple of questions from the viewers. Jackie saying, "What a great way to celebrate Beethoven's 250th birth anniversary!" Absolutely. He himself was such a fantastic improviser. Yes, so this is what we were talking about. Historically, musicians, especially of this caliber, they were very well versed and very well rounded musicians overall. They could write for any instrument. They could improvise. They could perform music by other composers, by other musicians. They could collaborate with other musicians. This is part of being a real musician, right? And as pianists, sometimes, especially classical pianists, it can be a little bit of a lonely world. We spend too much time sometimes on our own. And I think this gives us an opportunity to expand this. So I think someone here on Facebook had a quick question. Jose, this question is for you. Do you sing the melody or do you sing the left hand when you're playing?
I sing both. I try to also imagine both at the same time. But I kind of sing the main notes of the melody, not the whole melody. It's like kind of creating my own chorale in my head. It's kind of like, instead playing I'm gonna choose some notes that for me are more relevant, like this. And then from then on, I start to sing melodies that I'm, improvising melodies in my head, like and then I start to improvise. And then little by little, I start to add, I remember Ed Simon told me once, like, you start this way and then you start to add like quarter notes, for example, improvising with quarter notes, and then 8 notes, and then 16 notes, and then you are figuring out, like, listening a lot of stuff, and it's amazing because it's progressively from the most simple to you know, to a lot of kind of intricate rhythms and things like that, and it's starting from like just listening to two lines basically, and that's important, you know, being able to listen, you know, train our ears in order to listen. I would call it multitasking listening, right? Where you're playing, like, you know, with people, it's like you have to listen to your chords, like the line, the melodies that are coming up from how do you say, like you know, I having this interaction with the musicians, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I do it.
Right. Awesome. So thank you both for joining us today. I'm very, very honored to have you here today, Jose, and of course, Luis. It's a huge honor. And just a last reminder for you guys, tomorrow it will be the last day to register for the festival. We extended the deadline a little bit, but tomorrow is going to be the last day. So if you want to join us, if you want to take some master classes, improvisation workshops, and performances, please visit our website, CostaRicaPianoFestival.com. If you want to know more about what Jose is doing, please follow him on his social media. Jose, what is your Instagram and your Facebook?
Jose Artist, I think, my Facebook page, and same in Instagram.
Jose is Jose Soto Artist, right?
Jose Soto Artist.
Jose Soto Artist, yeah. So follow him. He's doing some amazing stuff. He has some really awesome projects in the United States and also in Costa Rica. And well, thank you both so much for this. This was a very enlightening episode, and of course the entire series. I learned a lot. Thank you, Luis. And I hope to see you guys next week, and maybe more things, more projects will come after this. So thank you very much, everybody.
Oh, thank you, Luis. Thank you for
Thank you,
it feels super honored.
And yeah, take care, everybody. Pura vida.
Thank you. Pura vida.
Bye.
Bye.